Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Town Hall here at the American School of Warsaw. It's so great to see you all coming into the room, and thank you for joining us tonight. I know that some of you watched live and enjoyed that, and the rest will be watching it via the recorded pieces that we pull out. But it's so good to see you after hopefully a nice break that everybody's had here in the month of October as we're heading quickly from fall into winter. We're all hopefully dressing warmly and getting used to the wind and the leaves and everything else that's changing around us in this wonderful thing we call seasons. It's a really wonderful time of the year for the kids to reflect on the changes as we go. They're here on November 8th for our next monthly episode. We did decide not to do a live group in the MPR. We didn't have anybody come and join us last time, but I do welcome any feedback from you to give us a sense of whether you'd like a live face-to-face opportunity in addition to what we're pushing out on Facebook and live stream. So please feel free to share your comments with me and give me a sense of that. As always, we want to make sure that we know about how to get comments and questions. If you're on Facebook, you know you have the comment channel, and I'm monitoring those, and I'll throw them up on the screen. That looks a little bit like that. And so please feel free to jump your comments in there, questions, anything you need clarification on as we go through our time together tonight. And know that many of our administrators are also watching on the Facebook channel and may answer your queries directly in Facebook. You can also text me, though, if you're coming in from other channels and you're watching through either YouTube or LinkedIn. You can text me directly at the phone number that's on your screen. And then after our time together tonight, if there are any questions that emerge, remember we have our info at aswarsaw.org that you can utilize to seek any further information or clarification. Or as always, write me directly. Either is fine. But on the info channel, we have lots of people collaborating to help make sure we get you to the right information as quickly as possible. We always want to talk about our school mission at the beginning of everything we do. So please take a moment to particularly give those two lines. We're determined to be a community that changes the world for the better, and we're doing that with every activity and everything that we strive to do on every single day here at ASW. So please keep that close to your heart and recognize the phrasing and the wording that helps make us an inclusive community and a community that makes sure that we care about how we do things together in service to this mission. We also have an affirming, safe, and welcoming statement at ASW. That's really important for a school with 60 plus nationalities. We saw that on full display at United Nations Day just before the break, and we all enjoyed that very much. Shout out again to PTO and all of the team and staff here at ASW to help make that happen, because it was an absolutely marvelous day. Wonderful punctuation as we went into conferences and then into a well-deserved break. So again, affirming, safe, and welcoming, that is the hallmark of ASW. All right, with that, I'm ready to bring in my first guest tonight. So please welcome Heidi and Anthony, and we're going to talk a bit about TEDx. Welcome, gang. How are we doing tonight?
Hello, I'm Mr. Zerflu. We're doing really well.
Heidi, I know you're the spearhead on this, so I'll let you kick it off, and then you can bring Anthony in. But tell us about TEDx and its return to ASW post-COVID, and what we're getting ready for students coming up on November 22nd.
Yeah, for sure. So for those of you not familiar with TEDx, TED itself is a global conference. So every year there's usually one or a few TED conferences in different locations, and there's speakers, renowned speakers from all over the world joining to give about 18 minutes long talks. And previously we've seen TED speakers, for example, Bill Gates or Elon Musk. So really famous people out there. And they also have this TEDx program where different organizations or schools or communities can host their own version of TEDx, of TED. And this year, for the first time ever, ASW is hosting an in-person TEDx conference. So before COVID, I think 2019, we hosted a virtual TEDx conference. But this year, in celebration of our 70th anniversary at our school, we'll be hosting the first in-person one. And it's going to be a huge, high-caliber event because the entire grade 10, 11, 12, like about 260 students will be off schedule the whole day on November 22nd before we go on break. So the last Wednesday before going on Thanksgiving break, to just be in the audience. And if you can go to the next slide, Mr. Zerflu. Perfect. So yeah, we have 40 students working on this event. This is entirely student initiated, student funded, and we have people ranging from photographers to like on-site hosts to people who are managing the money, and also designers. So actually, good news. We finished our big, like 1 meter high 3D design today. TEDx Live. Yeah. And we also have one official TEDx license. So Mr. Zerflu is actually the main organizer of this event. He's done TEDx talks before, he's organized TEDx before, so he's actually the main licensee, and we have an official TEDx license. And yeah, we expect to have 365 audience members. And also, one more thing we want to highlight is the fact that we're bringing really renowned speakers from all over the world. We have a TikToker, for those of you who go on TikTok. We have a TikToker with 2.2 million followers joining us from United States. He's flying in. One of our students got him to be here. So it's pretty huge. And we also have an alumni, Oliver Castle, who went on to become a very famous entrepreneur, and he's going to be coming back from Sweden to inspire our students. And Anthony, do you want to add on to anything?
Ready for the next slide? So I think that's our introduction, right? All right, Anthony, take it away.
Yeah, so we'll basically have 4 different sessions, and each one having 3 different speakers. Each session will be in a different. We'll have a different topic, somewhere around the breaking barriers, and we have a really dedicated executive team that will be running this event. For example, I'm the executive producer. Heidi is the co-organizer. However, we also have production leaders, curation leaders, designers, finance managers, marketing managers, and communication directors. And some of us also have sub-teams that, as Heidi said, we're going to have really dedicated photographers, videographers taking care of that event. And it's also going to be live stream in case more people will want to see it.
And I'm presuming we'll get links out in e-notes as we get closer to the event so that people will be able to potentially participate from afar. It's always part of the TEDx licensing that we produce videos after the TEDx event that live on in perpetuity. And if you look up TEDx AAS Moscow, you'll find videos from years and years ago when we first started doing some amazing things. So it's really powerful to see us be able to do this and bring in these kind of key people. And you guys have just done an amazing job sourcing speakers. And we should hasten to add, we also are using internal talent here at ASW, that some of our speakers are our teachers and our students who are really people who stepped forward, were vetted by your committee, and really felt like they could add voice to this as well. And that's always a component of TEDx, is it's homegrown as much as it is reaching out to people that we bring in from around the world. I know your team has done an amazing job with this, so thank you guys very much for this. Is there anything else you want to add about the day or about the details? I know we're working on the final schedule. We're going to get this in teachers' hands very quickly so that they'll be able to get ready for the day. It is grades 10, 11, and 12, and that's what we've focused on for this first event. But anything else that we need to tell everybody before we bring this to a close?
Yeah, just a message out to parents.
Thank you. I almost forgot.
Yeah, because the students will be sitting in the audience all day, we are asking parents through the PTO, they'll be sending this message out, but we are asking parents to bring goods like treats, I guess, home baked goods, or fruits or refreshments, just donating them to to be placed in front of the theater. This way, students can have like refreshments between sessions.
And then we should also point out that while we've got these 4 sessions, they're not going to be in the theater the whole time. We're going to have some breakout times in between each of the sessions. So there's a big part of TEDx is the dialogue and conversation. Maybe you want to talk about that a little bit more as well.
Yeah. So, right. Our students will get to engage with the speakers not only in the theater where they can ask like questions in front of everyone. Every speaker will take 2 Q&As, but also they'll have the chance to network with speakers in person, face to face, during each networking session. So those are basically breaks between sessions where they can go to the main gym and there will be the refreshments that we're asking parents to buy. And then they'll be able to have like a table discussion with each speaker or talks that they found to be interesting. Yeah.
And also a lunch together in the middle between the 4 sessions. So there'll be opportunity there to dialogue as well. So lots of good options to get up and move between sessions, and really programmed as a TED is typically programmed to be inspiring and something that where you just keep discussing and delving deeper into these ideas as they emerge through the course of the day. Anything else that we need to add or bring to people's attention? So parents, we need you. We need these snacks that you can donate. We'll have things set up and have details and e-notes probably next week, and give you the details on how to deliver those to school in advance of the 22nd. And then the team's set and ready to take care of that and distribute that at the times that we're going to have these things. But parents, any help you can provide to us would be greatly appreciated. Any snacks you can donate, anything that you think would be good for us to have during these breaks would be greatly appreciated. And again, we'll push this out in e-notes as well and make sure everybody's aware of it. Heidi, Anthony, anything else?
And feel free to check our website, TEDxASWarsaw.org, if you'd like to have any more information.
Where was that? That was back on the first one? Or yeah, there. TEDxASWarsaw.org. You see it there at the bottom. So reach out there and take a look at the website. I just looked at it tonight, and you guys have really done a wonderful job.
Yeah, we have our official schedule, our list of speakers, our executive team list. And if you'd like to ask us any questions, feel free to contact us.
Brilliant.
Right.
So thank you so much, gang. And for those who aren't familiar, TED is renowned for this, and TEDx continues to inspire students and adults in all venues across the world. There are thousands of these every year, and it's so great to be able to bring this to Warsaw. So thank you for all of your efforts and for setting this stage for a tradition that we hope will live on beyond this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. It's really great to see the kids pull this together, and it's really exciting to see the opportunities that are going to be created by this for lots of deep and wonderful dialogue connected to learning as well, because these breaking down barriers is certainly the themes that we see in the IB program and in our framework for instruction. With that, I'm ready to bring in Associate Director of Learning, Melissa Schaub, to the stage. We've got a special guest tonight. Melissa, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Great to be here in Town Hall with you. Great to join our community and talk about the great stuff happening at ASW.
So we have a unique offering tonight, and it comes on the heels of a backdrop of lots of robust dialogue and discussion. And so I got, by the way, before we go there, there's an exciting from a Facebook user and a thumbs up from a Facebook user. Thank you much for your comments there. And again, that just shows you that we can drop your questions in there and I'll keep watching it. But it is, we've been having lots of dialogue and discussion about AI. I think everybody in the world is doing this, right? And it's about ChatGPT because it's invaded all of our social media streams. And so we've got a special guest tonight. And Melissa, I'm going to leave it to you to do the introductions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just to kind of give context, add on to the context you've given, John, we know as educators that AI is absolutely on our plate to get our head around, to try to move alongside of it because it's impacting learning. It's in the hands of our kids and our teachers and certainly our parents. And so we're just really wanting to be smart and learn and be able to make really good decisions for our students. We, as a leadership team, which included the principals, the vice principals, some of our learning coaches, and our IB coordinators, we had the opportunity to spend 3 sessions learning a bit more about AI in schools and really trying to grow our collective understanding. And leading that process is educator John Micton, and I'm very excited to be able to introduce him. John has been an international educator for over 29 years and very specifically supporting technology and all of the work that has grown over those 30 years in terms of media, multimedia, and just technology in schools. He's held a variety of different positions in terms of being an IT director, a director of e-learning, head of education, media technology, and deputy principal throughout Asia and Europe and also Africa. And so John currently is the primary technology for learning coordinator at the International School of Geneva. And we thought it would be fabulous if he joined us tonight and just opened up what he knows, his wisdom and learning, and what he has been providing to us at ASW and to share with our parent community tonight and our teaching community, whoever is online with us. So John, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you, and we're hoping to just spend a little bit of time learning with you tonight.
John,
thank you, Melissa. Thank you very much, John and Melissa. It's so nice to be here amongst the American School of Warsaw community, and it's a privilege to have been working with the leadership team. And I'm just going to kind of share about 15 minutes, just some like a kind of a bird's eye overview of some of the creative tensions we're seeing in schools with AI. And then we'll open the floor for conversations. And I know John will be keen to support those conversations and answers, and so will Melissa. So I'm going to share my presentation, but I think there we go. So one thing that we know is when we invent a new technology, we uncover a new class of responsibility. And this is something that is quite apparent in the context of artificial intelligence and the large language models that many of you might actually be using, or in your professional context, you are maybe already using aspects of AI, or like my mother, who's 89, she has her AI robot that vacuum cleans her apartment. So there are different contexts, but the thing that we know is new technology comes about with new responsibilities. And that's something that we need to kind of keep in the back of our mind what that might look like. One thing we know that AI has been in our lives day to day is kind of frictionless connectivity. If you think of your phones, a lot of the things that happen within your phone, the algorithms and different platforms that you work with really rely on artificial intelligence. We know also we're doing what a lot of AI researchers call cognitive offloading. That's, for example, when you decide to go and visit a wonderful new country, you might actually be driving and you put all the details into your little Navsat or into your car, and it will guide you there with telling you how much traffic there is, where are good restaurants, etc. And it's this idea that some level of our cognition now is offloaded, subcontracted out. I was just spending time with a young lady who's 6 years old in the kindergarten class I was teaching, and she was telling me about Alexa and all the different things that her and Alexa do together. Alexa, of course, is Amazon's home AI kind of helper. Another thing that we understand is that we're really to be engaged with AI, you need to cohabitate with it because there are many very positive things. And this is the Paro, which is used in Japan. And it's an artificial intelligence. It looks like a seal. It's very soft and gentle. And it has AI in it. So it can pick up sounds. It can pick up touch. It can pick up movement. And as the senior citizen is working and interacting with this Paro, it develops a personalized approach to the way they react. And what they've noticed, and in Japan, because of, as we know, many labor shortages, and especially in senior homes, they have noticed that the Paro has actually decreased levels of depression and loneliness, and that the senior citizen residents really do develop a relationship with these. So there are aspects which are very positive and can really help us. AI and the Internet of Things, if we think of many different things that we connect with, if you look at traffic lights, or if you go into buildings, if you even go on your airplane and you're on holiday, chances are different times and different moments and different workflows will be automated and run by AI. A large percentage of the Internet of Things is actually not monitored by human beings and such, but it's subcontracted out to AI to monitor other AI, which is really quite exciting, but also sometimes brings about some, oh my goodness me, what's going on? The other side is in our algorithms and our digital habits. So if you think of your day when you're on your phone, you're on your laptop, you're on your iPad, companies now are definitely leveraging the behavior that and the things that we do and interact with these digital devices. And Shoshana Zuboff, the professor at Harvard, calls it surveillance capitalism. It's where companies are aggregating the behaviors and the information and collating them together, and then using AI to look at simulations and try to mitigate the unexpected. In other words, what they want to do is be able to predict your behavior, and based on that prediction, be able to provide services. And those services could be like when, for example, maybe you're talking to your children about going to have a meal at an Italian restaurant or a Thai restaurant, and suddenly you open your phone and you have all these ads of Thai restaurants. So this is the idea of surveillance capitalism, and this kind of grabbing of information is known as behavior surplus. It's the behavior that we provide to these organizations. Then we also have the issue of fake and real news. So, for example, we have two examples here where the BBC says, worry less about children's screen use, parents told. And the same day, the London Times says, doctor tell parents to cut children's screen time. So this is always the dichotomy that we're in. What is real, what is not, and that importance of having information literacy and media literacy, understanding to consider the source, check the author, reading beyond the titles and the subtitles, and looking for supportive sources. Patricia Greenfield, who's a psychologist at UCLA, has been highlighting, especially in younger generations, this idea of skim reading. Skim reading is if you think of your phone and when you look at a newspaper, what you're going to see on the newspaper is a lot of headlines and what they call taglines, maybe 2-3 sentences. And what is being noticed by researchers is that we're spending more time skim reading. So we're looking at the headline and the tagline, but we might not be clicking on the link and delving deeply with some analysis and critical thinking on the bigger text. And this is known as skim reading. And there are some concerns and really observations that with this habit of skim reading, they're noticing many kids have greater difficulty analyzing text and being critical thinkers and looking at different perceptions when they're engaging with longer text. And a lot of this, of course, is fueled by these algorithms that are pushing out this content. If you think of artificial intelligence as something that everybody gets to have, it's actually a very small group of companies currently that are kind of the drivers and really doing the research and the technology, and honestly have the means and the finances and the hardware to be able to work with these technologies, which require a lot of computing power, a lot of resources, a lot of energy. So most of the companies are in North America and in the People's Republic of China. So this might all feel a little confusing, and sometimes I think with this accelerated change, we often have this look that this young student has looking at us as kind of overwhelmed and just almost numb because so many things are changing so fast. What I'm going to do, hopefully, is give you a quick, brief overview of some terms that you might hear floating around in the newspaper, maybe amongst colleagues or even in your professional context. And the first one is artificial intelligence is basically a branch of computer science that allows machines to mimic and carry out tasks that usually we would do. And this could be pattern recognition, making decisions, learning from experience. So a great example would be in a classroom setting, an educational software that's AI driven might adjust the difficulty level of a math problem. So if the student is really struggling with that, then it might go back to some more simple and more easier questions. And then as the student is successful, increase the challenge and the level. So that's kind of artificial intelligence. One of the branches of artificial intelligence is machine learning. And it enables computers to learn from data and make decisions without intricate programming. It's akin to equipping computers for self-improvement and autonomous decision-making. So what that might look like is in schools, we have a lot of adaptive learning platforms where these platforms basically change the difficulty of tasks based on how well the student is doing. So that's an example how you might see machine learning in the context of the school. Deep learning is really another branch of AI, an advanced form of machine learning. And this is really interesting because it uses neural networks. So neural networks is a bit like how the brain works. We have many different layers of networks that connect with each other, and they learn from examples, and they can also analyze data without explicit guidance. So they're basically quite independent, and they can learn on their own with much human input. So for instance, if you think of in the education context is, for example, you might put in a deep learning tool, AI tool, an essay from a student, and it can grade the student right away. It can also give ideas for feedback and also maybe give suggestions for improvement. And these are some examples of what you can see in education. And I'm sure in professional contexts, you might have had experiences of that. Generative AI is what is part of AI, and it's another component, and it's the one that we're seeing more commonly talked about, such as ChatGPT. It's able to work with more complex forms of cognition, and for example, it might help students come up with a unique art project and combine different styles and spark new ideas. So it's a bit like a digital muse. Now, today, I am sure many of you are familiar with ChatGPT, which is part of what they call large language models. And they mimic human writing by studying vast amounts of text, and they train on these data sets. And then when you put a question in, it predicts the sequence and interprets the context and then provides an answer. And it's working with huge data sets, millions and millions of data sets. So it has access to a lot of information. And in really seconds, it can generate a response. So these models support teachers by creating content. You can customize lessons, help with grading. They could aid language practice. So you are starting to see educators leverage this as a way to amplify and give them capacity to work with their skill set and use it as a partner as they develop the learning experiences and pathways for students. So you have artificial intelligence, then machine learning, and then deep learning. And large language models are part of the deep learning and the machine learning, dependent on the complexity of these tools. So one of the things that we know about AI, and I know that the American School of Warsaw and many international schools and communities are talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. And these are things that are very important to the mission of international schools and to making the world a better place. What Joy Bugliani, a researcher at MIT, highlights is that there are definitely greater evidence that AI can perpetuate discrimination against certain genders and races, often affecting AI that uses job hiring and bank loans and law enforcement. So these are things that we need to be mindful of, because many of the data sets that these AIs are working with have those biases embedded in them. Also, we know that AI can endanger personal privacy, and there's a lot of talk about the collection and monetization of personal information by companies, and that brings up a lot of ethical issues. And then in a school context, one thing that we know is that AI's capacity to assist in tasks that could blur the lines of originality. So if you think of AI-generated content that extends to professional and creative industries, it suddenly has us rethinking what constitutes genuine work. So if a student is using AI to help them to work with their activity, and they copy the AI text and put it in their essay and then use that as authentic work, that brings up a lot of questions of authenticity and plagiarism. And this is still what I call a gray area, and schools and organizations are still trying to navigate that. There are so many positives, and there is the value-added proposition of AI in schools. There's the idea of personalized learning. It's the idea of creative inspiration and real-time feedback, and you can see various ways that you can do that. So I think it's always this creative tension. There are some things that we need to be mindful of, the ethics and some of the issues tied to that. And then there's also the creativity and the capacity to really enrich the learning landscapes with teachers' skills, and then using in cohabitation these AI tools to amplify the learning pathways. What we're going to do is we're going to actually try. Can I do this? Oh, it won't let me. I was going to actually try ChatGPT, and now I'm thinking, can I?
You can share your screen, and I can put it up if you want to share.
Yeah, could you share my screen? Can you do that, or do I do that, John?
You do that through the present button. You should see an item for share.
Okay, remove from remove. Oh no, I don't want to remove.
Well, we can remove your
got it.
slides.
No, wait, hold on. Slides, video, share screen. Got it. My apologies.
No worries.
Okay, don't show. Okay, allow, and now I'm going to. Do you see my ChatGPT 4?
Yep, and I'm going to need to add that to the stage to replace. There you go.
So I'm going to demonstrate just an example how a teacher might use this. So I am a grade 5 teacher, are studying about migration and would like to have a set of activities that help them understand the dynamics of migration.
Actually, I think this
in
is
the context of the Second World War. I'm going to also say these activities appropriate for both EAL, ESL learners and students with ADHD. Differentiate the activities, and I'm going to stop activities for these profile of students. Make the lesson in English, French, and Polish. So I type this in, and what it's going to do is start creating the activities for me. it is going to basically go into its huge data sets and within nanoseconds, look at all the available information. And based on that, going to start creating a lesson for me within minutes. So you can really see the power of these tools and how they can really support educators. And in the context of your own professional or personal life, for example, maybe you're writing a letter and you've written a letter to a neighbor and maybe you need a second eye on it. So you might ask ChatGPT, please look at this. Is it polite? Am I making myself clear? And of course, what it's going to do is going to help you with this. So these are just an example of how powerful this artificial intelligence and these language models, these large language models can be. So I'm going to stop sharing so you've got an idea of what that is. So what I would like to do, John, is really for you, just going to say, I'm open to questions, and I'm sure John and Melissa will be happy to answer questions, and I'm happy to support this conversation as appropriate. Thank you.
John, thank you for that. Super, super interesting. And especially knowing the different facets, like we hear AI all the time, and now ChatGPT, but understanding the foundation of those and the various components, really, I think it's interesting and helps us think forward.
It does seem to provide a way of stepping back in metacognition. You know, by asking a prompt, not just of the AI engine, you're also asking of yourself. And you're kind of watching the AI do the thinking, but at the same time, you're reflecting on your own thinking as to what would I have done in that situation, and what's the comparison, and is it matching what my brain would have done? Not to match that, but to say critically, is that the right way of thinking it? And is it a way to understand the way we think and the way we do it, and does it optimize it? We've got a comment here about great presentation, and thank you so much for sharing. Inspiring to see that as ASW community, we get on the journey to understand and learn more about AI. So thank you for that, MD. Questions into the chat, please. Anyone, if you want to ask anything of John or of us. This is culminating. John, you may want to be able to talk about this. As you said, there's this tension between these different points of view. I know, and I think you know too, that many schools jumped out right away to make new rules and legislation and banned it and did things like that. Others, like us, took a little bit more of a slower approach to this. What's your sense of where that thermometer is at right now, and what are you seeing emerge as we become better knowledgeable of what these tools are and what they can do?
I think your point and description is really accurate. I think there was an initial fear. So there was a camp of fear, let's shut this down. And then like yourself and many other schools, they said, well, this is new technology. We're kind of about lifelong learning. So we're going to engage with it, but we're going to be mindful and reasonable. And we're going to take our time and unpack ourselves and not really make any decisions, but we're going to put it in the forefront and be very reactive or very proactive in coming up with policies if they need be or see. I would say now schools have quickly realized that shutting it down is really a losing battle. It's like trying to close down the internet. The fact is, I think schools now are saying, okay, this is part of it. And the big question that schools are doing is, what is the value added proposition of school when you have artificial intelligence cohabitating with you? And that's bringing about some very rich conversations about the missions, the principles, the values. And I think what a lot of schools, especially IB schools, are realizing that the IB learner profiles really lend themselves to engaging with artificial intelligence and cohabitation. So in some ways, we have the value added proposition. Now it's just becoming more dexterous and more adept at using them, and when is it appropriate, and when is it authentic, and when is it not?
It's a great point.
Question that's on the screen may take that to kind of a simplified example level. So their question is how the learning and understanding about AI, and for example, a skill of coming up with a good prompt, how will we integrate that into our learning?
It's a great question.
Great question. So I have an example for I was watching a lesson. It's a TOK lesson, theory of knowledge lesson, and they were talking about ethics and racism. And what is the role of ethics and racism? Great question. We could talk all night about that. And what they did is they got some prompts from AI based on various questions, and then they printed them out, the teacher, and then put them on the wall, and then the kids interacted with it and reacted to it. And then based on their reactions and their interactions, they took that and went back into AI and reprompted based on their interactions and reactions, and
Wow.
looked how that changed.
Wow, that's amazing. And that leads to the other part of their question is also about learning to ask the right questions then.
Exactly.
And how you get deeper into it.
Yeah, and I think, we've always, that journey has really begun a long time. I remember when Google first came out and you had Yahoo and you'd click, 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 and then suddenly you could type in a sentence and something would come out. And I think we've been working on questioning and inquiry for quite a long time. The IB in itself is all about questioning and asking essential questions and good questions. And I think it's just amplified more that prompting is about how do you write a good question?
Yeah. And what I appreciate about that, and especially about the question being posed, is as educators, we are going to have to be able to accept that as a new skill set. And as a new skill set, we've got to figure out, what does that look like across the school? When do you start teaching that? When is it appropriate? What is the method of doing that? How do we support kids in their growth around that? And right now, we're working at the teacher level in many ways in terms of being able to understand, how do we practice with it? How do we start to get a feel for what a good question, a good prompt might be? So it's definitely part of our own growth and development in terms of curriculum over the next few years. There's no doubt about it.
And AI may be able to help us to become more concise in that curriculum writing, or to revise some of that text so that it's more clear to teachers, to help them unpack it and better articulate their lessons and their unit plans. I could see, tremendous utility in improving our documentation and the things we share with parents, and particularly the translation. I was so impressed, John, you threw a ringer in there and said Polish, French, and English. And I'm just amazed by that. I'm still kind of awestruck by that whole lesson has been created for 3 languages. And as I noted, is underlying principles of EAL learners and ADHD. I'd love to go back through that text and see how that ADHD is being accommodated for in there, and how it's designing that. And again, that's building on the large language models that are out there. So it's building on the shoulders of, I presume, teachers and learners and ideas that have all come before that question.
Exactly.
And that's always been teachers' challenge. It's like, how many articles, books, and other materials can I really digest and keep in my head as I'm doing this study? And this helps us bridge that gap. And I know that, that generation is really just the first step, because then what happens is to really look at those things and say, well, that doesn't really fit my style, so I can tweak that a little bit. But because that bulk work is done, that deep part, I can be focused more on discriminating filtering of whether it's the right task in the right moment for the right kids.
That's right.
And I think
it doesn't give me the fear of replacing teachers that I know some jump to right away. It really says, boy, look at the enablement here. Look at the empowerment that comes through this.
And I think your point's a very important one, is it's not going to replace teachers. It's going to empower teachers and also give us opportunities. Because, say, for example, the lesson that I created, yes, a teacher could differentiate EAL and DHE, but the time it takes, and if they want to do every lesson, there are only so many hours in the day. Now we know we can come up with a good framework of a lesson, and then we can subcontract those things out, and we're ensured that every time those children are in the room, depending their different neurodiversity, they're going to be addressed through purposeful activities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just profound stuff. And I'm glad that we're taking the approach we are with having lots of these background dialogue conversations. It's important to me that we've been able to bring this forward to parents right now too, as well. And I can't appreciate enough, John, bringing this voice from outside to help us continue to digest this. I know you've been not just working here with parents, but you've been working with our team and helping us to dig deeper into this. I know there was a lot of new learnings today, as there has been during the sessions that you've been generating. And I just can't thank you enough for helping us continue to refine that dialogue and move forward.
Well, thank you. It's a real privilege to be with the community, and I hope everybody gets to play around and enjoy it a bit. You know, it's a new tool, and as with any new tools, it takes time, and we need to be purposeful, but also critical thinkers about it. You know, a bit of cautious optimism, as I like to call it.
There you go. I like that term. I always have.
Well, thank you so much, and wish you all the best. And we will be in touch, John and Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks for joining us. Great to have you
you.
here at ASW Town Hall.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night, John.
Melissa, anything you want to add on top of that before I go into nuts and bolts stuff and finish up the evening?
Just, again, I think it's exciting. We have a new pathway that just comes with progress of time and an age of technology. And I liked that John kind of sent the invite for exploration. All of us are finding new ways to think about how ChatGPT can help us. And even tonight in our leadership session, there was a conversation that we could even take a look at curriculum articulation, looking at how we could do review processes to get a sense of best practice over certain periods of time, what's typical, just so many different things that none of us have thought of yet. And the sky is really the limit. And so it's exciting, and it's good to be a learner right now.
So if you get a chance out there, I guess our encouragement to the community is dabble. Get a sense, experiment, try things out as we are doing and as we are going deeper and understanding this. And also recognize, and I think this is an important point, be advised, talk with your kids, find out what they're doing, because I value that a percentage, and that's because I'm connected to our tech classes and to the kids that are doing personal projects right now. They're programming this stuff. I mean, they are using these tools to really push the edge and build new things. They have amazing ideas. Last year at Personal Project, I saw a student processing language to determine sentiment of news articles and really digging deeply into scoring literary text in order to be able to better inform an audience. That's what our kids are programming right now. They're building what they call application program interfaces to bring that content into their own programs, their own applications. So our kids, as always, are always a little bit of a step ahead of us. And so it's important to make sure you have those conversations with your kids at home about the kinds of things they're doing in the tech world to support them in the work that they're doing in their learning. It's always a good conversation, and it's great dinner time fodder for the next time you're together around the table talking about AI and what you think and how are you using it and what could be the possibilities on the future, on the horizon.
Great discussion.
Yeah. Melissa, thank you. I'm going to go into some nuts and bolts now, but have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
So let me bring my slides back up. I just want to do a facilities update here for a few minutes and also a look ahead, and also make sure I cover a couple of things that were in eNotes tonight as well. First of all, I just have some slides here. So looking at this, just to give you a look ahead, we now have tighter idea of when our timelines are coming together. We are now projecting the big pieces that are going on in the middle of the building are now coming online in March of 2024. You've seen amazing progress in recent weeks with some of the walls and interior structures, windows, glass, all the things. It's a hectic period right now to get those bundled up before we get into the deeper winter weather. And our crews are just working at a significant pace. But now looking at March 2024, which is pretty close to what we had originally estimated. The connector coming on board in August 2024. We always knew that that was going to be the piece coming during the summer. We're going to have a lot of the infrastructure in place, but it will wait to summer to take those walls down and punch through to the annex to connect those spaces together. So those will come on, and this is ground floor now that we're talking about in terms of cafeteria in August of 2024. Going to the first floor, again, echoing March 2024 for this central section in our new central services building. And again, the August timeline for the next floor up that'll give us access to our new library and our collaborative spaces in the center. And so really excited about the fact that we can now hone in on better prediction of those timelines, and the fact that we're generally speaking just about on schedule, maybe less than a month later than we expected in terms of these central areas coming online for us. So just to give you an update, and again, these other colors refer to how the renovation through the building is going to continue to progress. And so you can see the next in line colors here and where we're going to be moving to next, what's in renovation right now, what's completed, and obviously our center construction zone area. So again, going back to first floor, you can see the various phases and where we plan to be moving next. We're obviously going to be doing more detailed looks of this as we push out to staff, and we're doing kind of weekly updates on where the flurry of activity will be, but we'll keep trying to get as much of this information out to you as possible in advance so that we can be prepared for the shifts as we go through each stage. Ignore that slide. That was meant to be a little bit earlier. I just want to echo the note that I had in e-notes tonight. We are covering for Mr. Sheehan during a medical leave for the next 4 weeks. The coverage is in place, and I explained that in e-notes tonight. We're obviously hopeful of good outcomes and are confident and supportive of these supports. Messages of encouragement for Mr. Sheehan can come to me if you'd like me to pass those on. Email is still active, but may be in and out of that email, so take a look at that. Again, I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of it. If you have questions, please reach out to me on the info line directly to me. But I'll be generally stationed in the upper school office, and you can also approach me there. In terms of looking ahead, we've got PTO coffee morning coming up this Friday. We have family dinner a week from now. The PTO book fair about the same time frame. Board meeting on the 20th. We have our middle school and high school choir presentation on the 21st at 6 p.m. But preceding that, we have our visual arts exhibition starting at 5 on the 21st. So please plan to attend both events. We're really excited about the visual arts. And I just want to hasten to throw in there, I didn't get a chance to add this to my list tonight, but there's a special forest presentation on the bridge between the main building and the annex building that's in place right now for you to view. And I just encourage you to come up and take a look at it. It's an amazing piece of work done by our 6th grade students with some input from students from last year as well. And it's just heartwarming to go through and see the family representations that are so critical to us as a community. So please take an opportunity to go up and see that. And then the other visual arts that will join us on the 21st will round out wonderful arts presentation from our team. As we talked about earlier this evening, TEDx ASW is on November 22nd. We have our Thanksgiving holiday on the 23rd, 24th. No school for that Thursday and Friday. And our middle school dance is on December 1st. And that'll round out the rest of November. I'll be back with you in early December for the next town hall in order to bring the rest of that together. I want to capture this comment that just came in a little bit late. We have someone en route to Athens, student agency in health and physical literacy, especially around personal monitoring of heart rate variability to predict stress levels and coping strategies. lots of things in AI that are helping to support us in a variety of venues. We've got a So True from a Facebook user, and tons of parent engagement. This is coming from administrator, I believe. We've got a parent engagement sessions in November, December, so please watch eNotes and weekly for that. We'll be trying to capture those on calendars. Again, my list was not exhaustive. I tried to get as much as I could in there, but it's not the complete list. Please keep track of eNotes, because that's where the full list will be of all these different things for both elementary and upper school. And there are many parent engagement sessions on tap for you that are available for you to join. I just want to also do a quick piece here, if you'll allow me a second to bring it up on the screen. This is our parent portal, and I just want to remind everybody that there's a link for ManageBack here. And I know I've had some parents talk to me about getting to information and making sure they can find out about things that are going on. And so please know that you can click on that ManageBack on the side, and there are videos right here ready for you to connect and find out how best to navigate ManageBack. You, of course, are welcome to reach out to our IT support as well to get assistance. But these videos are right there ready for you to watch, to help you navigate to the information you need about what your kids are learning in their classes. So please feel free to get to these sites and click on those links and watch these videos. And if you need more, we can send other videos to you, which we'll try to highlight in upcoming eNotes, but these will get you started. And we really want to make sure you're getting into ManageBack and you're accessing the information that you need for your children's learning in upper school. If you're in elementary, you already know that that's Seesaw. And the same link, if we go back, is there for going into Seesaw and getting the same kinds of videos. And when you're ready to go to ManageBack, the link is right here to click into ManageBack and go to where you need to go. So again, I just want to make sure and do a quick 30 seconds on that to remind you that ManageBack is there to support your information needs, particularly post-parent conferences now. Hopefully you got a good orientation right before the break. You had that great interaction with teachers. We had, I think, somewhere around 80% participation and really had good parent involvement in understanding and working on your child's learning and how they're doing and what goals you may be setting for the remainder of the year. But again, as I said in eNotes just before the break and before conferences, don't feel like parent conferences are it. You can reach out to teachers at any time and request follow-up or ask those questions. You have opportunities through ManageBack to reach out to teachers and connect with them. And please feel free to do that to make sure you get the information that you need. Don't wait. Don't make sure that you address these concerns early so that you can support your students in the best way possible. That, I think, seeing nothing else in the comment stream, is it for me tonight. I want to thank you for staying in with us for just under an hour. And thanks again to John Mickton for his wonderful presentation tonight, to our students who were able to present on TEDx, to Ms. Schaub and her overseeing of all of these wonderful activities that are improving learning every day here at ASW. And thank you to all of you in the audience tonight for your participation and your connection with us. We appreciate it, and please encourage others to join us so that the questions can be answered and we can continue this dialogue. Again, reach out to us on info@aswarsaw.org if any questions remain. And other than that, have a wonderful, wonderful fall evening. Thank you very much for joining us.